Hi everybody, it's Martin at Flicking Feathers again today, and I'm tying an Alaskabou. Usually you tend to see these sort of dressed as the popsicle colour scheme, but I'm tying this in the sort of willy gun colours. Although it's a Pacific salmon fly, obviously from Alaska, it works very well for Atlantics as well. And I'm just knocking a few up in case I make a trip home at some point this year maybe. So the hook I'm using is a size 6 SL4 Bartleet. Right, it's the Kensawada hook, the partridge. And I'm using some 10-aught black veevus. I'm going to start my thread and take it, then let it hang just sort of in front of the barb. So for the back end of the body, I'm using some gold holographic. It's just Magnum, it's like the saltwater Flashabou size. Just got to catch that in, wind it forward and slightly overlapping turns, nice and tight. You can, if you wish, put a bit of super glue or something on under this just to help secure it, but so I'm going to come up. I'm going to leave myself plenty of room at the front here, a good third of the shank. Right, so from out here to this area is going to be the Marabou section and the wing. And this, when you hardly see this, it's just if a fish is looking from sort of behind and below, there'll be that extra bit of flash. Now, one of the problems with the Alaskabou is that the Marabou is very soft and it can collapse in slightly faster flows. So, in order to help prevent that, I'm going to make a dubbing loop, and I'm just going to take some dubbing. Doesn't really matter what you use, something with a kind of reasonable fibre length. I'm using Sybai SLF, so fairly long staple dubbing, so you can build up a reasonable wee ball. So I've stuck this in a dubbing loop, and quite long, a couple inches, and fairly heavy. This is to make a prop for the Marabou. So get my spinner in, get this spun up nice and tight. At this stage I like to come in with my old toothbrush and brush it. Just takes any sort of fibres that are not in actually in the loop, takes them out. You don't want losing them in the river, know that. So I'll wind this sort of on the spot and build up a ball. And don't worry if it looks a mess or if it looks like it's a bit too heavy. This is going to be well hidden, and it's only to help support the Marabou so it doesn't just collapse in the stream. So 2 or 3 turns and fold it back and tie over it nice and secure. Right, that's solid. It can't pull out or slip. And then come in, just get another brush. The SLF's nice and soft and the toothbrush is plenty. Right. Again, as I said, it's just a wee support. So I've already prepared a couple of Marabou plumes, and I'll show you with my black one how I like to do it, because I often feel that when you see these videos, the guys tying like steelhead patterns, they waste like a ton of feather. You know, they'll take a feather like this and just strip everything below the 2 inches, the 2 centimetres or so that they're going to use. So if you look at your feather, you're probably got to stop winding it about where the hackle, the stem thickens up as a hackle. That gives me, I've got there about 1.5 inches, 2 inches of stem. So I'll just come in with my scissor where it just beyond that, where it starts to get too thick to wind, and I'll cut this. Right. That means I've still got this Marabou that's great for woolly buggers or streamer wings and things. I'm not just throwing it away. And then just to give me a handle, I'll just strip off a small section. And there, I'm not wasting any. So I've already done that with my yellow and orange. I'm going to expose the tip, catch it in, I'll just fold it back, and you can pull it out or leave it, right? Just pulled that one out, but it doesn't really matter. And then I've just got to double and wind. Try to stroke the fibres so you don't catch any. You want your Marabou back against the dubbing ball. And the number of turns, it will depend sort of on how heavy your Marabou is. Some of the heavier stuff requires a bit sorry, some of the lighter stuff you need to put in a few more turns, right? This is quite a fine fibred feather, so I'm having to put in several turns, several wraps, in order to get the volume, but at the same time it will move better because the individual fibres are that wee bit finer. Now when I think I've got enough, which I do, I'll strip any fibres on the stem where I want to tie it in. Right, you can see there I've stripped it and it's bare. Three wraps is plenty to hold it. Trim the end off close, and then just you can get your brush to make sure you've not trapped any fibres or it's not twisted. Then you can secure that, tidy everything up, and you can see how that Marabou's kicking up because of the dubbing. Then we repeat it with our orange feather. Obviously, as I said, you can change the colour schemes. To suit yourself. Tie it in, fold the tip back again. Just leave that in there. And then, just the same, just wind it forward. One turn in front of the other. Doubling the feather as you go. Now, how much flash you put in is sort of up to you. So I'm just going to tie this off again. So we'll catch this under the hook at the bottom of the shank, on the bare space there. Because we're getting closer to the eye, and if you tie it underneath, it just helps to save a bit of space. So you can see now we're starting to develop that nice drop form, and there's loads of movement. And I'll tie back a wee bit. This just helps, keeps everything nice and secure, and it helps to flare the marabou over the dubbing. So I like to tie my flash in a wee bit differently from some people. What I do is, generally it's left to the end and you just tie it as a sort of overwing, but I like to tie it here before the front hackle. Right, and this is a new sparkle here from Sybai. It's a nice blend, there's about 6 or 7 colours. I think it goes really well with this colour scheme. It looks a bit dark until you put the black marabou over it. So you can see there I've tied the flash in the midpoint, and I've maybe got 10 strands or so. And then I'll grab my black feather, same as before, just expose the tip. You can wet it slightly if it makes it easier to handle. Tie it in. Fold it back. And I always take the tip of the front feather out, because you would see it. Now, take a wee hackle plier just for a bit of security here, in case I let go of it. Oops. Bump my thread, just back that off, tie it in again, fold it back. Now, the front hackle, it can pay just to take your scissor blade and sort of fold it slightly. Could still be a touch unruly, but that wee folding just can help. And then just carefully wind this forward to get myself that nice black accent. Goes really well with the orange and the yellow. Same again, when I get to where I think I'm ready to tie off, I'll just bear it back. Wrap over, cross your thread, catch it on the underside. 3 turns is plenty. Just make sure everything's sitting. Grab the Now to control this, I'll just grab this and then the flash and just sweep everything back. And sort of tidy up a bit. And then I'll fold the flash back over the top. And tie it off. Then just to sort of help this along for the fishing, just sort of taper it so that the ends are all slightly different. That'll keep them moving separately. And the last thing is just to build up a nice head. And we can come in with a whip finish. One's plenty because it's going to get 2 or 3 coats of varnish. So I just moisten my fingers, sweep everything back. You can see there the combination's really nice, and now that that's moist, it's nice and safe when I go to put my head cement on. And use my needle. Just be careful. You don't want to. Be careful not to get any head cement in the Marabou, because the Marabou will suck it right up. And that's it. That's the Alaskabou. Maybe some slight differences from the way a lot of people tie it, but I think they are improvements. You know, there's a purpose to the things. I mean, if you don't want to blend the wing in like that, don't just tie it on top. But I sort of like the way the flash sort of helps create that sort of drop form, or the drop shape. I really like that in salmon flies. So hope that was useful. Hope you enjoyed it. So you can tie some up and catch some fish in them. Take it later, guys. Bye.